Okay, good night. Next video, I'm gonna talk about deficiency in complement factor B. Complement factor B. Complement factor B is a protein that in humans is called CFP gene. Complement factor B is a component of the alternative pathway of the complement activation. Factor B circulates in the blood as a single chain polypeptide.
About now is the alternative pathway. So let's assume that you don't have the previously recognized antigen and no antibodies formed for it, but you still need to remove the pathogen as quickly as possible. So in this way, the alternative pathway will be a part of the innate immunity. So let's draw again. First you will have the bacteria, and all gram-negative bacteria have something in common. All of them have an outer lipid membrane, and on its outer lipid membrane they have something called an endotoxin. Some people use the other term LPS, which stands for lipopolysaccharide. So this time we won't need an antibody as mentioned, but how should we activate this alternative pathway? We will have in our circulation some C3 that is already cleaved into C3b. So what will happen now is that this circulating C3b will come and bind to the LPS. Once it has been bound to it, another factor rises up called factor D. The factor D will cleave another protein called factor B. Factor B will be divided into BB and BA. As you see, we differentiate them by small and big letter. So once it has been bonded to it, C3b together with BB will form an enzyme. And it's exactly the same enzyme that was used in classical pathway, but it's just other components. The enzyme is C3 convertase. C3 convertase, as you remember from the classical, will form C3. So another C3b will come and bind to it. So now you will have a complex of C3b, BB, and C3b. These together will form.
Okay. We're gonna continue. Complement factor B. Upon activation of the alternative pathway is cleaved by complement factor D changing the non-catalytic chain BA to the catalytic subunit B. Complement factor B. The active subunit B is a surrounding protease that associates with C3b to form the alternative pathway, C3 convertase. BB is involved in the proliferation of pre-activated B lymphocytes, while BA inhibits their proliferation. Okay.
I'm going to talk about complement, and I'm going to talk about a pathway of complement called the ultimate pathway. Now, complement is a series of proteins that react with one another to form a membrane attack complex which damages pathogens. Now, the ultimate pathway is only named the ultimate because it was the second one discovered, not because it's actually secondary. In fact, it's probably the simpler or more straightforward of the two pathways. This protein, C3, which floats around in the blood, spontaneously splits into two other proteins.
Okay, here is the same video.
They're named C3A and C3B. Of factor D, which is just a catalyst for this reaction. It produced
monocular bonds. Finally, deficiency of complement factor B. Clinical indication for possible complement deficiencies include recurrent mild or serious bacterial infection, angioimmunosis, or episodes of NGPD. Deficiency in complement factor B. Factor B is an acute phase protein and increases during inflammation. There is only one unconfirmed report of his deficiency in humans. Any complement deficiency should be treated as an immune deficiency, and the patient should be immunized against the likely candidates microbes for their typhus. Here is the last video.
MLEFasttrack.com. The section we're going to talk about today is from First Aid for the USMLE Step 1, 2013 edition, page 199. Now let's move on to the next pathway, which is the alternative pathway of complement system. Now, as we mentioned earlier, that the alternative pathway is activated when the system recognizes the microbial surface molecule. So this is the way the system will detect the bacteria and start the alternative pathway. Now in this pathway, you're starting off with C3 protein. C3 is an abundant protein that is found in your plasma, and this C3 protein will spontaneously hydrolyze to form C3b and C3a. C3a gets released in the system as an anaphylatoxin, and as we mentioned earlier, an anaphylatoxin is what mediates anaphylaxis if the anaphylatoxins are in great number. Now at this point, you are left with C3b, which has to combine with something else. So for this, you have another plasma protein called factor B. Factor B is going to get cleaved by factor D. This will...
Okay. And thank you for watching.